now everybody's favorite, the only person in history who ever ran for the Secretary of State's office who actually really wanted to be the Secretary of State, one of the great fighters for campaign reform, a person who is not, I'm not sure if I believe this, but I heard it and I've known her, I believe it, is not going to take campaign contributions, but somebody who is doing an excellent job, somebody who I had the pleasure of serving with, somebody who had the displeasure of serving with me on occasion. But as I tell members of the legislature, when they all say, well, they never want to question a leadership, I said, well, go meet Debra Bowen. She used to let me have it every day. But our great Democrat, our great Secretary of State, Debra Bowen.
To be here with you. It's been a long time since we cleaned house in 2006 in the Secretary of State's office. And you know, I ran for that office in part because I wanted you all to have a little bit of your own sunshine there in the Secretary of State's office. We needed to open things up, let people in, make sure everybody could see what's going on in our electoral process. All of it. And I learned something about how to do that by watching a couple secretaries of state who you know, the ones we had in Florida and Ohio. But when I was running, I told you that I'd work on several things, that I would make sure we did a top to bottom review of our voting systems. Check, we've done that. We did the nation's first rigorous academic review, and when we found we had problems, I took action and I discontinued the use of touchscreen voting machines that weren't reliable. Not only were they not reliable, but in some cases, they couldn't even be used for the people they were intended for. If you were in a wheelchair, you couldn't get your chair close enough to the screen to use the bottom, anything but the bottom half of it. So we can do better than that for our voters. So that's done. I told you that we would work to register every eligible voter. Well, that's like mowing a lawn. We're going to be doing that forever. As John F. Kennedy said, democracy is never really done. There is always so much more to do. And he wasn't kidding. When it comes to voter registration, there is always more to do. But we have right now in process a computer system for the statewide voter registration database. You know, this is really not sexy stuff to John and Jane Q. Public, but if you care about the political process and you want to reach voters, you need to have a list that's accurate, and you need to have people on the list once and only once, and you need it to be correct in every respect. So we're going to make that happen, and then we're going to be able to register people to vote online using the DMV signature if they have a driver's license. I hope that happens before the next time I'm before you seeking election. We've got that well underway. And the next step after that will be when you go to the DMV for the first time, when you're 15 or 16, we're going to pre-register you, put you on the rolls, and then that'll be it. Once in your whole lifetime, you're on the rolls and it's done. That one is going to need a little legislation, so I'll be back to you for help on that. Second thing I said, we'll make sure that the rolls are accurate, that everybody has a simple way to vote. We continue to work on that, and one of my great tasks has been to work to get military and overseas voters better able to cast a ballot without going through the kind of gyrations that some states put them through. In some states, you have to have your ballot notarized. Can you imagine finding a notary in a forward operating base in Afghanistan? So we've done very well, and there's always more to do, but that's on the line. And then the thing we do together, because I'm only one person, is to motivate people to get out and participate and own their own democracy, because this is not my democracy. This is your democracy and our democracy. My job is to provide the tools. Yours is to get out there and use the tools. Make sure you talk to people. Make sure that you educate people. I'll make sure that everything is transparent, that there's sunshine, that we know what's happening, that there's integrity in the process, and that after the election, when we have a swearing in, we absolutely know that we've sworn in the correct person. Critical. So fundamental, and something that we see watching elections in other countries, and it's not something we should ever take for granted. The other thing I learned about being Secretary of State from watching others is that if you are the Secretary of State, your only responsibility should be to each and every voter and to that voter's right to cast a ballot, have it counted, and not have anybody voting more than once. That comes in from growing up outside Chicago. And that means something else for the Secretary of State. It means that I cannot endorse candidates in any race in which I'm going to certify the results. So a lot of candidates here today, I'm sorry, I've said no to every single one of you, but go on and campaign and know that the mechanics of it and that every vote that's cast, everybody who goes to the polls, you get your voters out, and the answer will be correct. The right person is going to be sworn in every single race in which a Democrat is running in this election. Restoring confidence in democracy has been what this is all about. I came to you with that message in 2006. We're going to keep working on it. We're going to get that voter roll set up so that we've got people there and it's accurate and it's easy to use. And then we'll look for the next project to tackle. So thank you, all of you, for your support. It's been an incredible privilege to serve as your Secretary of State. And I ask you to hire me for the job for another 4 years. Thank you.
I would respectfully ask that Debra Bowen be endorsed by acclamation for re-election to the Secretary of State's office. Can I hear it? Without objection.